Welcome back to our Arbitrary YouTube channel. In today's class, you'll learn how to make this beautiful asymmetric neckline dress, and then it has a slit on the lower part which you can actually open if you want, or you just close it completely if you want. It's a very simple tutorial and it's easy to make. If this is what you like to learn, kindly stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. Okay, so to make this, we'll be making the upper part first. You can actually make it as a blouse and skirt separately, or as a dress, but I'll be making this as a dress for this tutorial. So the upper part is an off-shoulder kimono bodice, and not even off-shoulder. There's one that has a shoulder and the other one is off, so that's an asymmetric bodice. And the lower part is a full 360-degree flare. So to do this, my fabric is folded into, my paper is folded into two, and then I'm just going to take my shoulder measurement. So the shoulder I'm working with is 8 inches, and like I said, this is a kimono. So from there now, I'll measure where I want the sleeves to be, which I think I'll be working with 8 inches also, or even 9 inches. So again, you can just take your measurement from your center back, and then you take it through your shoulder and then your sleeve, then you stop wherever it is you want your sleeve to stop. Okay, so now the next thing now is to measure my sleeve opening. Okay, remember there's no armhole for this, it's a kimono, so I'm just doing it in a way that it will be simple for us to understand this. So now it depends on how wide you want to open your sleeve. So I think I'll be opening it by maybe 10 or 11 inches, because I'm going to be passing an elastic to it. So I need it to be big so that my elastic will be able to form like a ball sleeve for me. So now I'm opening it up by around 12 inches. So this 12 inches now, I'm just going to make it into a straight line so that it will be bold for me to work with. Okay, so this is 12 inches. And then I'm going to connect this as my sleeve opening. Okay, so I have that as my sleeve opening, and then from my shoulder area also, I'm going to measure my waist measurement. So the waist measurement I'm working with, because this is a dress, you don't want your half length, my half length, you don't want your half length to be too long, so that it will not be looking shabby. So the half length that I normally work with for this person is around 17 inches. Okay, it's 18 inches, but I'll just be going up by 1 inch, and that's going to give me 17 inches. And then I'm going to take that measurement there. So this is the total length of the half scale bodies. So now on this half length measurement, I'm going to take my bust measurement instead of waist measurement, because this is not going to be tightly fitted. If you want it tightly fitted, you can just take your waist measurement, but bust measurement I'm working with is 36 inches. So 36 inches divided by 4 is going to give me 9 inches. So I'm just going to measure that 9 inches there now, and then I can add like a 1 inch allowance to it. Remember, it's already free because I did not take my actual waist measurement. And then from there, from this point now, I'm going to connect it to my kimono sleeve. Okay, so you can do this with your free hand, but if you have a curve, you can just use your curve to connect it like this. Okay, so I'm connecting it from here, and then I'm connecting it to my waistline like that. So you can see what we have. We don't have an armhole because this is a cut together sleeve. So now to work on the neckline, I'm just going to note my normal neckline that I work with. So now I'm going to be using a neck width of 3 inches. 3 inches is fine for me, or 4 inches. So I'll be using a neck width of 4 inches, but here also I just want to note my armhole line so that it can guide me for the off shoulder part that I want to sew. So I just measured the shoulder here, which is 8 inches. The shoulder line, sorry, so this 8 inches here, I just measured it here also, so that I can have like a tentative armhole line there. So now once I have this, I'm going to cut this out so that I can shape out the neck area. Okay, so I've cut this out now, and then on the lower part I just added 1 inch seam allowance because I'll be joining a flare to it, and then I'll be joining it on the shoulder. So for your shoulder slope, you can actually drop it down by 2 inches here and connect for your shoulder slope. I'll just be leaving it as it is. So now to shape my neckline, remember I said I put it on fold. So now I'll open it out like this, and then you choose the side you want your off shoulder part to be. So I'm choosing this side. So to create that off shoulder, what I'm going to do now is to measure. This is the center front. You can see the crease line here, the depth of my neckline, and for the depth I'm going to be using 4 inches. And then remember that I measured 4 inches for the width of my neckline also. You can do 4, you can do 3. Okay, so let me just do 3.5 so that it will not be too much. So from the center front here, I'm measuring 3.5 to this side, and then also here I'm measuring 3.5. So this is 3.5 here, and then this is 3.5 here. So now the next thing I'll do now is on my armhole line, which is this straight line. That was why I drew it. I'm going to go down by let's say 2 or 3 inches, depending on how off you want this to be. So I'll just be dropping this by 3 inches. And then on my shoulder line, remember it was our shoulder measurement that we divided by 2. The shoulder was 16, divided by 2 gave us 8 inches. That was what we measured from our center front to get this point. So here now, depending on how off you want it to be, again you can drop it by maybe 1.5, 2, or even 3 inches. But I think around 2 inches is fine for me, or even 1.5. So I'll be dropping it like that, depending on what you want. So from there now, you will connect your markings from this 3.5 on the one with the shoulder. This is the one that was going to have shoulder, and this is the part that's going to be off. So here I'm dropping it off by 1.5 inches. So I'll connect it from that point now, from that first shoulder to the shoulder point, and then from this point to my armhole. I'm just trying to get a good curve that can take everything together for me at once. So from there now, I'll connect it to these 3 inches that I went down with. If you don't want it to off, you can go down by 2.5 inches. So let me just do 2.5. It's better for you to be smaller, so that if you are not okay with what you have, you can just reshape it down for it to be too wide. So now I'll connect it to that point now, and then you finally connect it to the upper part, which is this. So you can see I'm just taking it in bits. Okay, so this part is going to be the one with shoulder, and this part is going to be off. So once you have this now, I'm going to cut it out, and then we place it on our fabric to cut both the front and back together. So we're going to be using this pattern to cut out both our front and back. So I'm just going to shape out this neckline. So you can actually test this to see if you are okay with the off that you have. If not, you can actually correct it at this point before you cut it on your fabric. So I'm fine with what I have here. You can see that this part has a shoulder and this part is off. So I'll just go ahead now and cut this on my fabric, and then bring it back to show us. Okay, so I'm going ahead to cut this on my fabric. The main reason I did not drop this by my shoulder slope is because I don't want any seam on the shoulder area. So you can see the way I just put it on fold before cutting it. So if you don't mind having a seam line here, you can just go down 2 inches here on your sleeve area and then connect it to your neck point. So I have my front and back cut together like this. I'm just going to, this part you can actually turn it with a facing or a bias, whichever one you choose to work with is fine. So I'm just going to set this aside now and cut my 360-degree flare. And to do this, I'll just measure my waistline measurement, and whatever I have there, I'll divide it by 6.28 for my radius. And then the next thing is to measure the length of my blouse, and of course the length is going to be your full length, the full length of your dress minus the half length that we have already cut out. Remember, we already cut out the half length, so we just want to cut the down part of the dress. Okay, so I'm going to cut my flare. As you can see, this is the radius, and the total length of this flare is So remember, my half length is 17 inches, so you can see I've gone up by 17 inches, and the full length of this dress is 40 inches. So I added 1 inch allowance to make it 41 inches, as we can see. So the next thing now is for me to open it on two sides, because I'm not going to be having a zipper at the back. Remember, when I was drafting this, I did not have the zipper allowance for the pattern, so I'm going to be passing the zipper through the back, and it can enter the head, because you can see from the pattern that it's an off shoulder, so it's quite wide. It's not going to be difficult to wear through the head. So now I'll just open this flare on two sides now, and then I want to also have like a slit at the side front, so I'm going to do that also. So now on the two sides, you can see I have an opening here and here. So now this is the front and back now can be easily detached. So I've detached this now, and then I'm going to be working on the front part. So like I said, on the front part, I'm going to be folding it like this and notch my center front. So I'll fold it into two here, and then I'll notch the center front. Once I notch the center front, I'll open it out. So this is my notch here, and then I'm going to mark it with a marker so that we can see it well. So here also, I'm going to put it on fold by two, and then note the center. Okay, so this is the side where I want my zipper to be. You can choose where you want your zipper to be, maybe to be on the left or on the right side, but I want it on this side. So now I have it on this point. So the next thing now is for me to mark this down, because a zipper is going to go through that place, so that I can decide to use it to have a slit or not if I want. You understand this better by the time we finish this. So it's better for you to use an invisible zipper, so that it's not going to be obvious, but I don't have an invisible zipper, so I'm just going to be using this as an illustration for us. So now I'm going to tear this open, and then I added enough allowance when I was drafting my radius. I didn't use my actual waist measurement because of this slashing that I'm going to be doing, because at every point that I slash, I'm going to sew it back. So now I'm just going to be putting this on fold by that notch that I created. You can see the notch. So once I put it on fold, it will guide me on how I'm going to slash it, and then I'll slash it open like this. So once I slash it open now, this is what I have. Then I'll go ahead now and fix my zipper. So the zipper is going to be facing downward like this, so that I can open it up or down. So I'll take this to the machine now and fix my zipper to this, and they will bring it back for us to continue. Okay, so now I've gone ahead to add the zipper to this, and you can see what we have. Once I open it, you can open it up, and then you can close it back. And like I said, you should use an invisible zipper. I can get away with it because this fabric is very colorful. That's why the zipper is not so obvious. So now the next thing is to bring in my front and back. So this is the front of my skirt, and this is the back. Remember, we slashed the flare into two so that we can separate the front and back, because I want the zipper to be at the side. Okay, so now the next thing is to, okay, so now I'll bring in my front now, and then I'm going to sew my flare to it on the lower part like this. So I'll sew the front to the front. Remember, the front and back is cut together, there is no shoulder seam. So I'll sew the flare of the front to the front, and then I'll sew that of the back to the back also. So now it depends on what you want. You can actually fix a band to this, and then fix like a rope to tie it at the back if you want to be adjusting. Remember, it's not so fitted. We did not use our actual measurements, but I don't think I'll be putting a band to it, or I may, but I'll be fixing a rope on the side here, so that I can tie it at the back, then I can adjust the fit anyhow I want. So now I'll just take it to the sewing machine now and join the upper part to the flare for both front and back. Then the next thing now is to join it on the side. Then I'll create a casing here. Remember, I said there's going to be an elastic on the sleeve area, so that I can pass my elastics to it. Okay, so now the lower part have been added, and like I said, I added a 2 inches band to this. it's not extra inch. I just placed it on the ready-made pattern, and the band is not on the back, it's just on the front part. And I went ahead to cut a long group for my, remember I said because it's not the actual waist, so I just decided to cut this rope to adjust it. But if you want also, you can make it to your actual waist. All you just need to do is open it on the side here and insert a skirt zipper on it. So this is what we have, and this is the lower part. If you want it open, you just open your zipper, and if you want it closed, you close your zipper. So on the sleeve area, I decided to just fold it in and create a casing. So now this is the elastic now, and then I'm going to attach my elastic around it to gather it together to give me that puffy effect, and our dress is ready. So I'll take this to the mannequin now so that we can see what we have. Okay, so this is our dress now. It's an asymmetric neckline, and this is the part with shoulder, and this is the off shoulder part. So you can see that it's not too up because I just went down from my shoulder line by 1.5 inches. So this neckline now, I'll be piping it with a bias, and this is the body. So I added a band at the waistline area like I said, and then on the front part you can see, you can decide to just leave it open at this front part, or you just close the zipper or open it to any extent that you want. Then I added a belt on both sides to adjust it, because this is actually bigger than the size of the person that is going to wear it. So if you are making it to your accurate size, all you just need to do is put a zipper at the side area here so that it can open up for your body to go through it. You are not going to be running into any problem for the neckline area, because it's actually an asymmetric neckline and it's quite wide for the head to go through it. So the sleeve area also is adjusted with an elastic band, as we can see, and you can see that it was very simple to make this blouse, this dress. If you enjoyed this tutorial, let us know in the comment section. Like, comment and subscribe to our channel, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.